Good morning around the diamond and top fan rivalry family. Baseball Bill and I are back for another rousing episode of Around the Diamond. We are excited to bring you into the halfway point of baseball. We have made it. We are halfway there. Let's not waste time. Baseball Bill, as always, how are you doing on this fine Saturday morning?
Hey, it's Saturday morning. It's early. I like it. Let's talk some baseball. Sam, if you're new to this show, you gotta understand I'm a Dodger fan. Sam's a Giants fan, so I can say we're half a game out of first place. Sam, whatever. We'll talk, about that.
3.5 games out of first place, still in very close contention. And what's important about that is the Padres. I'm sorry, too many teams running in my head. Are 9.5 games back.
There you
Let's
go.
not waste any time, though. Bill, do you want to take us through the American League this week?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Giddy up. All right. So the Rays are starting to show a little bit of signs of being normal. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games, but they are leading that division. Fortunately for them, the Orioles are 4-6 in their last couple of or last 10 games, so they have slowed down a little bit. Yankees are picking up a little bit of steam. So are the Jays. So are the Red Sox. Again, that division, everybody has a plus-minus differential positive. Everybody's over 500. That is a tough division to be in. Half a game separates out the Central. Guardians, Twins. I mean, Tigers. Look at Tigers, White Sox, Royals, or Royal. Let's try again
They don't
next
deserve
year.
the S. They still don't deserve the S, Bill.
Okay, I'm just as long as we're clear, they just don't deserve the S. But don't worry,
not
the
with how they're
A's.
playing.
I mean, the A's got the S, so I guess it should be the A. They got 65 losses. Good for them for the first start of the season. But the Rangers and the Astros have started to turn on. The Astros are starting to turn on, so it's a little scary. That division is going to be really good. Notice how the Angels are dropping, and we're going to talk about that during the injury report. So, Sam, that's what I got for you for the American League.
You know, what's shocking to me is, yes, I mistakenly forgot to put the S on the Royals. Beyond that, the Central actually has a team that doesn't have a losing record as its leader. I think this is the first time in about 4 to 5 weeks that the American League Central leader actually has a winning record instead of a losing record.
Good call. Good call.
And I think,
yes.
and you said that at the beginning of the season, and I think you're right. 86 and 86 could win you this division. There's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind.
You mean 81 and 81?
81 and 81. Sure. I can't do math today. Can't
okay.
Spell, can't do math. But
it was to my understanding there'd be no math here today.
Yeah, I know. But I'm also very intrigued to see what happens after the All-Star break with the Orioles and the Rays, because that's going to really heat up after the All-Star break. So really excited to see it coming. But let's move it over to the National League now. So moving into the National League, Braves could potentially, by the end of this weekend, be the first team to 60 wins in all of baseball. They are on a tear right now. Marlins are really starting to play well, though, and Phillies are still holding the middle of the road. I think still, though, the Mets are probably the biggest shocker in that division. Still to this point, no questions asked. Even more than the Phillies with the additions the Mets added. Moving it over to the Central, Reds and Brewers are only split by half a game. So by the end of the weekend, Brewers could be in the lead in that division, or the Reds could hold on strong. We'll be watching that closely to see what happens going into next week. And then same with the National League West, only split by a half a game between the D-backs and the Dodgers. Giants are 3.5 games back, as I mentioned, and the Padres are 9.5 games out of first place right now. Which I think in the entire National League, the Padres are the biggest shocker of the year. In my opinion, Bill, that's all I got on the NL. What do you see?
Padres and Mets are the most shocking. Pay attention Pay attention to see if the Marlins can hold on, where the Phillies go, because the Phillies are hot right now.
Mhm.
Pay attention to the Reds; they're pretty phenomenal, and watch what the Dodgers and Giants do as far as putting pressure on the Diamondbacks. So
Mhm.
that's my
I don't
breakdown of
even
the
think
National
it's
League. I like
just
it.
real quick. I don't think it's just putting pressure on the Diamondbacks. I also think if we think about it, they're still putting a lot of pressure on the Padres to prove their worth and prove their value.
And it's interesting because if you go on social media, I follow a lot of accounts. Top Fan Rivalry follows a lot of accounts on social media, predominantly on Instagram. And um, it's interesting to watch the Padre fans just like rip their team. And I mean, I don't care if the Dodgers have 100 loss season. I'm not ripping them. I'm just, I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed, but I'm not going to rip them apart. And
Mm-hmm.
gosh, it's sad. Like and I won't say which account, but I watched an account this morning rip the Padres apart, and I just thought, stop it, you guys. This is your home team,
Yeah.
right?
I,
So
I get frustrated with the Giants at times. I mean, look, last year after having the 7-game win season, I was like over the moon about what the Giants were going to do. And they did not show up. And I mean, there were a lot of injuries. And was I upset? Absolutely. But I stood by my team till I was Dodger blue in the face, yelling at them. And, but it's baseball. You have to take the punches. And, these fans have to realize that these are players too and that they're doing everything they can. But the Padres really need to step it up, in my opinion. But let's move into some stats. Things are starting to kind of mellow out, in my opinion, when it comes to the hitting leaders. So looking at the batting averages, you got Luis Arianza still leading strong with the batting average lead of 386. Acuna's right behind them with Bo Bichette and Freddie Freeman back on this list with a 318. He has been on a tear lately when it comes to hitting. Him and Mookie Betts are like that combo that you really just want to that you're really afraid of as a starting pitcher or as any pitcher. And going over to the RBI leaders, Adolis Garcia is rocking with 73. Olson's at 70. Devers is really the shining star right now in Boston with 69 RBIs, and Otani's right there with 68. Bill, anything on the batting side you?
no, even though Boston's in last place, they're not too far out of it where there's enough divisional games where they can actually sneak into a wild card spot. Notice how we're starting to watch the cream of the crop kind of raise. These leaders are all people that are vying for October bids. Miami's right there. Toronto's right there. Obviously, Atlanta's the best team in baseball. The Dodgers are right there. The Rays are leading their division. The Rangers are leading their division. The Angels are the only one that is really struggling and kind of on a different trajectory. But yeah,
But even still, even though they're kind of in that stretch, I mean, 7.5 games seems like a lot, but in that division, I don't see 7.5 games as a lot. I see that as a reasonable amount of games going into the All-Star break.
yeah.
Only comment I have to make on that. Bill, what about pitching? You're a pitching fanatic, so.
Pitching. Shane McClanahan has 11 wins. Zach Gallen has 11 wins. Zach is pitching like I always thought he could. I was always surprised that Zach wasn't better with the numbers, but he was also pitching for teams that weren't very good. Clayton Kershaw is got 10 wins, but he's on the IL. This is a perfect time for him to go on the IL because if you're listening to this Saturday morning, the Dodgers do not play tomorrow, which means they have Sunday off, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they don't play until Thursday. So 5 days worth of rest. It's a great time for him to go down. Nathan Eovaldi's pitching wonderfully. Spencer Strider is doing well. Obviously, his strikeouts. And if you look at this, again, the only person that is on this list that's not vying for October is Lance Lynn. But he's pitching well, so you can't argue with that. A lot of
Now,
offense, but a lot of defense as well.
Now, we're going to have a lot of other talks going on next week beyond just talking about the All-Star break because next week, Bill and I really start kicking it into gear with the trade deadline coming up. Bill, real quick, not to go too far off topic because this is going to start coming into next week, but is Lance Lynn a trade target for some of these teams vying for October?
Yes. The White Sox need to sell technically the owner needs to sell, but the White Sox are going to be sellers. They have underproduced. I thought they were going to win the division. I think that division's weak, and it's proven that division is weak. But I thought for sure they're going to be sellers. And Lance Lynn, besides for needing a treadmill and a razor, Lance Lynn is definitely trade bait. So there's going to be a team. I mean, there's going to be a team like a San Francisco that's like right there, like a Miami or even the Phillies that's right there that just needs a little bit extra arm strength. He might be the guy.
Well, Philly's 11 games out. I think Miami's a little bit more realistic with 9.5.
But Philly's
again, that's a division that anything could happen, especially when it comes to the.
But remember, Phillies. If the season were to end today, the Phillies would be in the playoffs through the wild card,
which is frightening in itself. That somehow, with 9.5 games out, they're going to be in a wild card, and the Giants, who are 3.5 games out, are just looking from over the fence.
Ladies and gentlemen, we knew that Sam would bring up the Giants. There you go.
I am going to go insane. Anyway.
Go for it. Let's talk home runs. Let's talk stolen bases.
No, let's talk stolen bases. Real quick. So it's interesting. There was a larger increase in stolen bases between last week and this week than there was home runs.
Yep.
So we are a stolen base count of 1,921, going up almost another 200 from last week. Esteury Ruiz is still leading strong, but I really think Acuna is trying to overtake that. I strongly believe Acuna wants to be the stolen base leader of this year, and he's going to do everything he can to make sure Oakland does not get a top title for anything as far as it goes. But what about the difference between Acuna and Franco going from second to third real quick?
No, these guys are running more. And the funny thing is when you look at these numbers, Sam, you're looking at them and you're thinking, wow, okay, so when's the season end? No, we're halfway through. So could put up 80 stolen bases and he could end up having 40 home runs. He could be a 40-40 guy this year. He's not going to be an 88.
I haven't had a 40-40 guy in a long time.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to take a note. I'm going to whip out the notepad. Boom.
Notepad.
Last 40-40 guy.
That'll be something to talk about for next episode next week.
Is in the notepad. It will be found, and it will be discussed.
It will be found.
Now, moving into the home run leaders, Shohei Ohtani is showing what Shohei Ohtani does, leading with 31 home runs. But like I said, this was the smallest home run increase week over week since the start of the season. We only went up 132 home runs. Bill, what do you want? What do you think about this?
I like that it's moving around a little bit. Matt Olson's having a great season. Shohei has slowed down a little bit. Blister issue, right?
My blisters.
Yeah. Alonso, Luis Robert, and then Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is on a tear right now. So, it's the dog days of summer. Guys need the All-Star break. So just because it's slowing down right now doesn't mean it's not going to pick up here after the All-Star break.
I think Mookie's on like in the last 10 games, he's probably hit between 4 and 6 home runs. Am I crazy?
No, you're not. He's all kinds of on tear right now. He hit 2 last night.
Yeah, I was gonna say he seems, when it comes to the summer months, like middle June into middle August, September, that's when his home run game just always seems to take it to another level. And I feel like if we looked at it year over year, at least for Mookie, because of his longevity so far in the league, I think we'd see that as a pretty consistent thing. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree.
Okay. Looking at the injury report, got some upsetting ones. I will take the bottom half so Bill can talk about his boy at the top.
Yeah, I'm Dustin May. Obviously, he came back from Tommy John surgery. Now he's got an elbow issue. He's out for the season. This is the same elbow that he had Tommy John in. I'm concerned that this could be career shortening at best, career ending at worst. And so you can't come back from a Tommy John and then jump right back in and have another arm issue. So the Dodgers are really good about bringing these guys back early because fans are excited about them. They're doing the same thing with Walker Buehler right now, which makes me nervous. But Seattle out for the season, Mills and Boston out for the season. So, I mean, when we say out for the season, guys, that's only half a season, really. It's more disappointing when you hear that in April, but yeah, Dustin May.
Real quick, now with what they did with Dustin May bringing back from Tommy John, and now looking at the Dodgers with what they're doing with Buehler coming back from Tommy John, do you think the Dodgers now readjust how they were bringing Buehler back and possibly throw in an extra off day for him to give him an extra day's rest, or maybe cut his inning numbers by an inning or two, depending on the game?
They're trying to get him back in August instead of September. But when he comes back, he'll be on a very strict pitch count. He'll be a starter, but he'll be that starter that starts and can throw 30 pitches or 40 pitches. So he'll pitch 2 innings or 3 innings. Okay. But no.
So they're going to really slow, like super slow roll him back into opening, which Correct. I think for Buehler is the smart move because I don't feel like they did that for Dustin. I feel like they kind of threw Dustin almost back into like the second level of heat before throwing him fully into the fire. So, bringing it back over to the injury report real quick, Tristan McKenzie is out until the beginning of September, and Jonathan Davis is out with a knee injury till the end of October. 2 teams that are fighting for contention to get into the playoffs. At least Cleveland is. Miami is still in that middle ground. But a big injury for the Angels. Mike Trout with the wrist getting knocked a couple of days ago. Expected out 4 to 6 weeks. And for Trout, this is big because over the last couple of years, he's really had a number of injuries, especially with the back issues and things like that. Bill, how do you take Trout's injury and look at it for long-term as well as his whole career?
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot to be said. In fact, we should do an episode on I had a couple of guys reach out to me this week. One of them in particular, a huge Angel fan,
bringing out the book Trout episode.
Yeah, so one of them said straight out to me, we need to, and this is a huge Angel fan, and he said we need to trade Trout. This is not me speaking, so don't blast me, guys. But he said we need to trade Ohtani now because he's not going to come back. So let's get something for him, and we need to trade Trout and get something for Trout before we can't get something from Trout because we've had Trout for so many years and it hasn't worked about building around him, and we've had Trout and Ohtani and it's not working. So Angel fans are, though they love Trout, though they love Ohtani, they also love winning, and they will play this October, but it may only be October.
At least for a day. At least for a day.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see the Angels in the next 3 weeks as we get closer to the trade deadline. So like we said, keep an eye on Around the Diamond over the next 3 weeks. We are going in depth into the trade deadline. We are going to be looking at what teams need, who needs to be buyers, and who needs to be sellers. So keep an eye on Around the Diamond over the next few weeks. It's going to be awesome. But let's talk about some fun things. We're halfway there. We've made it. We're 81 games into the season, approximately, give or take 1 or 2. So let's talk about who our current leaders are in the league. So we've got the Rays, who started off hot, the Twins, who just got over 500, and the Rangers, who brought in a veteran manager and an arm that no longer exists and somehow are leading. And Bill, who's our National League leaders right now?
Best team in baseball, the Braves, Cincinnati Reds, and they are hot. Ellie De La Cruz turned that ship around. And the Diamondbacks, as of this morning, as of this afternoon, the Diamondbacks will be in second place. But that's another story. You know, the Diamondbacks, they're playing small ball. They're hitting the ball, they're moving runners around. Now, I hate to say this, but Corbin Carroll, who I like to watch, is hurt and he's listed day to day. So
yeah, it was an interesting shoulder injury.
Mm-hmm.
It was on a swing, and I watched the swing a couple of times, and he put a lot of oomph into that swing. I think more than he typically does, and I think it just popped. But looking at these division leaders, are any of them shocking to you? Is there one more shocking than another?
Rays, I did not expect the Rays to be this good. The Rangers, I did not expect the Rangers to be this good. The Cincinnati Reds, I did expect this from. Diamondbacks, I did not expect it from. Now, the Twins, again, you can win that division with 75 wins this season. You could be like 75 and 88 and win that division. So that's not too exciting, but now I say that and watch they go 75 and 88, get into the playoffs, or 75 and 86, whatever it is, and get into the playoffs and then end up winning the World Series. Who knows? Whenever somebody gets hot, right?
Bill,
what about you?
Crazier has happened.
Yep. What about you?
I think, as shocking as this is, I wasn't expecting the Braves to be I expected the Braves to be good, and I expected the Braves to be leading their division. I did not expect them to be the first team most likely to 60 wins, and I definitely didn't see them having a 9.5 game gap between first and second place going into the halfway point. Diamondbacks were a complete shocker to me. I thought they were going to be tough, and I thought they were definitely going to be in that fight like we had talked about at the beginning of the season, probably rocking somewhere right now in that close to third place range where they're killing it. And then I think the Reds also, just honestly, the whole National League to me was more shocking than the American League. Maybe that's just because I put more into watching the National League because I'm a National League guy. But the Reds were a shocker to me just for the fact that, they've had so many years of not doing it right that they finally figured it out and now they're doing it right. So yeah, I think the National League as a whole league has been more shocking to me than the American League. But there's some shockers on the American side, not gonna lie.
Yeah, truth. What do you say we talk about the Derby? You want to talk about the Derby?
The Derby is going to be an interesting one.
Okay.
It's going to be super interesting this year. There are some players that are new faces to this game, to the modus operandi of a home run derby. And we have some two-time champs in this home run derby, a.k.a. Polar Bear can't find a jersey big enough to fit him, Pete Alonso.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know, because the guy that should be in here has a blister that's hurting his finger, and he's not in it. And I think the hottest hitter in all of baseball right now was smart in saying he wasn't going to be in it, in De La Cruz. But this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah,
it
too
was
soon for
too
De La
soon,
Cruz.
but just with how he's been hitting, it was kind of like, I'd love to see what he does when he gets pitches that he could just clock. So it was very interesting, but I think this is going to be an interesting one. I don't think Pete's going to three-peat, and if he three-peats, I might cry. I would actually really like to see Adley Rutschman win this one. That'd be me.
So Rushman, Alonso, and Mookie Betts, I think, have shots. The other guys, so remember the home run derby is all about endurance, right? It has nothing to do with long balls. It has to do with how many times you can swing the bat in that short period of time, right? And
Yep.
put the ball in play and connect and hit it out of the yard. So I would say that Alonso's our leader here out of this group. I like to see Rushman. I think Mookie Betts has the stamina for it. Everybody loves Vlad Guerrero. I don't think Vlad Guerrero's got it. Garcia, Rosarina, no. Probably Luis Robert, probably not either. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah. Julio could actually come in and shock us all too.
Yeah, but
It hasn't been hitting like he was hitting last year, but could be a shocker.
Safe money's on Pete Alonso.
I'm going Hail Mary, and I'm going Adley Rushman. I'm going to the Rook in this first derby.
Now, you're saying that. I'm not saying that I'm saying that they're going to win, but hey, I'm going to make a prediction on Monday morning. So listen in for my prediction on Monday morning.
I will make sure I'm listening in, and that's going to be on Bill's Corner? Yep. Or is that going to be on in the league?
Yeah. No, I'm going to do it live.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. And right after that awesome home run derby we're going to have a great all-star game. I mean, this all-star game is looking pretty crazy. It's kind of looking like the Dodgers Braves versus the Rangers as it's starting to kind of play itself out.
How dare somebody break up the Rangers infield? You have a catcher, the second baseman, the third baseman, the shortstop. How dare their first baseman not make it? Doggone it. I want to recount.
I dubbed the unfair.
Yes, exactly. And Mike Trout won't be there, so nor will Arson Judge.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have lost my love for the All-Star game as I used to. The All-Star game really used to mean something when it would determine who is the home field team for the World Series. Now that's just kind of become a game.
Yep.
It's fun, it's exciting, but I actually enjoyed watching the All-Star game when it meant something. And not many people realize that the game actually used to determine who controlled home field advantage for the World Series.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
So,
all right, 2 minutes left to go. Let's talk about this week.
Yeah, you got a nice jam-packed schedule for us this week, Bill. Why don't you take us through it?
Okay, 4 people are going to talk about the home run derby on Monday's episode. On Tuesday, I'm going to do a Bill's Corner. Wednesday, we got Bao, who's going to take us through some stadium food, yummy stuff, right? Brett, who's
we all know San Francisco wins.
Yeah, Brent's a new guy who hasn't been on yet, Reds fan, and then by the numbers.
What numbers are we talking through this week?
61 through 65.
Oh my God. We're getting there. We're almost going to be at 99. I wonder who that one's going to be.
Ricky Vaughn.
Ricky Vaughn. I love it. Yes.
Ricky Vaughn.
Yes.
So in the leagues, if you're not paying attention, I do a morning show called In the League. Half hour, 8 a.m. start time, Pacific Standard Time, ends at 8:30. Monday, I'm going to walk you through it. Tuesday, we got an all-star edition with Megan, Val, and Danny. Wednesday, we got you on, Sam. And then Friday, we're going to have Thomas on Thursday. We've got a couple invitations out there, but we'll see how it all plays out. So, yep.
Awesome. And as always, you need to be checking us out on Around the Diamond on TopFanRivalry.com. You should already be in the locker room, but if by chance you haven't already gotten to the locker room, make sure you go to TopFanRivalry.com. Make sure you sign up. It's awesome. And as always, you can use the code ATD for all 10% off your merchandise inside the locker room. So make sure you get there. It's 10% off anything at TopFanRivalry.com. It is awesome. Bill, any final comments for our fans out there?
No,
before we go to a halfway point?
No, just make sure you're following us on everything. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, locals, TikTok. Make sure you're following us for all your good content there. We love doing this. We
Maybe
love everybody.
Threads. Threads is possibly coming as well.
Yeah.
Phil and I will talk about Threads coming up soon. But as always, from us to you, the fans, thank you so much for joining us this week, and we will see you on the field next week.
See you next week.